Welcome again to SQL for Beginners Lesson 5. In this lesson, we are going to now get familiar with that workbench in the previous lesson we saw. So go to that workbench. If you don't have it open, just search for it and you should have it as an option to launch that program. Now just get familiar with this user interface first. So in here we have some menu items. Let's go to that later. On the left hand side here it says management, and below that this is the tab called administration. So basically this is where, remember we talked about the database administration tasks. Some of those tasks will be required by the DBAs to perform. They will appear here. So let's say we want to see the server status, and it will open that administration server status tab, and we will see local instance of MySQL 8.0, where it is running, what type of machine it is, and all the details about the server. Again, we don't need to worry too much about unless the server is down or is not running. But as you can see, it provides all the data about the server. Here also it's green, means it's running. What's the CPU load, what are the how many connections are there, all types of details you can see. Now this, as you could see, this window can be expanded, so you can drag and drop this as you need. So the second side of this is says SQL additions. That currently we don't need. It's a contextual help, so leave that as it is. On the top right hand side here there are some blue sections, which if you click on it, it will take either view it or don't view it, basically that section. So this section of management will be disappearing as I click on it, or I can see again if I click back. Same thing for the bottom part, where you can see the output is there, and on the right hand side that window can be also hidden or seen. Alright, so let's go back to the second tab, which says schemas. This is the most common use for us going to be this window. There are two windows now. You can see administration, we can close it, so we'll be left with the query window. This is the window where most of our time will be spent to go through and run those SQL commands. Now in here on the left hand side it says schemas. Schemas are nothing but our collection of databases. So one thing we left out in our original understanding of database was we have all the databases, and within database we have tables, and tables have columns. Now all different databases together on the server will become different schemas. So basically here we installed the sample database. So because of that we see this Sakya and a world database appearing here. Now in Sakila, if you see, there are some tables available. Forget the views and store procedures for now. We'll focus on the table section. Expand the table section. Now you see there are multiple tables, as we thought of that there will be collection of tables that will belong to a database. So in this case, Sakila is the database where all these tables are part of that database. Now if I go to the world database, and we'll go to sys for later, this particular world database has other tables also. As you can see, I had expanded them: city, country, language. If you expand them, let's say city, you will see columns are there, and those columns can be expanded to see those columns are there: ID, name, country code, district, and population. And same will be for country. Again, there are different columns: code, name, continent, region, all of those. So here is the actual view of all the different tables that we thought of. Now obviously we don't have the phone book table here, but that doesn't matter. All we need is some data. So remember we started with the select statement. So can you write a select statement to see what is inside this table? This is the city table. So why don't we try that, right? So we'll say select. Let's go with everything. So we'll put select star from, and then we need to know the table name, which is city. Now if I do that, I need to run this particular query. So these buttons at the top here, it says execute the selected portion. If there is no selection, it will execute everything. So if I click on it, it will execute this query. But if I have multiple select, I can select this statement and then click on it, and it will select only this line. So if I had, for example, another query, select star from table, let's say country, in that case which one will to be executed, which statement should be executed? So then I can select this and click on that. I can also say execute statement under the keyboard cursor, and there are a bunch of other options we'll come to see. Now by default there will be limit of some record that will be returned. So there are tables with millions of records, as we thought. We don't need all of those records right here listed, because it costs us, right? If there will be a traffic from the server to bring to us all those rows, it will cost some time and effort and money eventually. So then by default, to see some samples, you just want to select a few rows. Maybe you start with limit 50 rows or 10 rows or 100 rows, depending on how many records are there. If there are less than that, it will show all of those. And then of course you can see you can save this statement, as you can save these, so you don't have to keep writing these queries all over and over. So there are also, they are called scripts, and you can save these SQL statements. And then you can reformat the SQL query so that it identifies the keyword. As you can see, some of these are highlighted in blue, so because these are called keywords. Select, from, all of these are very important and required keywords for the server to interpret our question. Alright, so let's remove this query for now. Go back to select star from CD and let's try to execute it. And now it says here is the output window. This is the output section, and you can also expand that. So here there is an error code, no database selected. Now remember we talked about that if I say give me the phone numbers from a phone book, but then there is a confusion. Which phone book do you want? Andrew Carnegie's phone book or Edison's phone book? So here it's the same thing. What if this city table was also available in this database, Sakila database? Now how does the server know which one you are looking for? That's why it makes us to specify what database to connect to, and this is where we have to put this world is our database. So I'll put world.ct. Now it knows very well. In fact, it is so smart. You look at this. If I don't have written anything and I start with from world, so it, as soon as I type, it identifies what is available, and it identified world is a database. As soon as I select that, come on, select it, I press enter and I click dot. Now it will tell me the tables that belong to that database. So now I have city, I can move up and down, and I press city. So now it has complete query. Now since my cursor is here, I can also run this execution of the script, and now you see the data output is there. So let's look at the table. So here because we said limit 10, it is bringing us only 10 records, and the 10 records look like this. So there is an ID of the column, then there is name of this country, then there is a country code AFG, then there is a district Kabul, and then there is some population, and then there is Kandahar, Herat, all of these things. So for different countries, these are the country code, these are the districts and population. So this is what there in this table called city that belongs to world database. So this is how we are going to use. Now there is a lot more than just doing some select, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we'll go through that, but I wanted to give you a quick idea of what this is about, the workbench. Now we didn't talk about some of these buttons. So if you want to create a new SQL tab, so we have this query, but what will happen is we'll end up with so many queries in this window, and sometimes you just want to do some testing. So in that case, you can click on this and it will open a new window. So you can write another select SQL statement here and it will do it for you. You can open as many tabs as you want. Then you can also save or open some SQL files into that tab. You can also do some inspector for the selected object, so it will identify what is right, wrong, what needs to be done, things like that. You can create new schema, like we will be doing that. So currently we are given with these 3 schema because they came as a sample database. But what if we want to create new one? So we can do that. Then we can also create new tables. We can create new view. We are going to talk about later, so don't worry about that. Stored procedure, all these are advanced functions, including this new function option. So we'll be creating new schema and new tables to start with, and that's where we will play our SQL commands, and there are many more commands to learn. So I hope this is just a high level introduction of workbench. We'll dive deep into creating new tables, creating new database, and all that fun stuff. All right, thanks.